Call me fucktard Jesus. Call me fucktard Jesus. Jesus. Call me fucktard.
I'm ready. I think we need to get married now.
How about my brother? Hello there.
You. I love you already. I think I know why.
Really? Oh, what?
How is he so? Oh my god!
Why you there? Do you know my brother?
You know your brother.
Bilo. You know Bilo?
I know Beaver.
Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Here.
Hello?
Why did you do that?
He's my brother. He has nuclear disease. Have you ever called before? Let me show you what I mean.
Nah, I'd win. Don't call me a fucktard, Jesus. Don't call me a fucktard, Jesus.
Thanks, Epic Games, for sponsoring this video. What's this guy doing? Oh, I love this trend.
Lie. 95% of all locations have zero parking lots. There's never street parking, and if you happen to be a lucky enough soul to find a spot, you can't slow down to parallel park into it because people are either gonna yell at you for clogging the lane or ram into your bumper. It's just an evil trick. So your only choice is to find a parking garage that costs like $20. One time, my friends and I drove to a One Piece live symphony at the Dolby Theater and decided to park in its parking garage. Oh, what an obvious mistake. Do you want to know how long it took us to get out of that garage after the show when everyone was leaving? 2.5 hours! We parked in the designated parking garage for a show and paid 2.5 hours of our life on top of real life money. So what if you don't have a car? Then you don't have to deal with any of this, right? Well, you can't walk anywhere. What do you think this is? Any other country? You could get a bike or a motorcycle, but again, with the quality of drivers around, you might as well play Russian roulette every time the wheels touch asphalt. Maybe with the right setup and some expendable funds, you could just get around with rideshare apps. But man, getting an Uber is so expensive out here. It might as well be considered a luxury in itself. If you're taking an Uber either to or from the LAX airport, I guarantee it'll cost at least $100. And the drivers don't get like any of that, by the way. Once I had a driver complain to me about the ride rates the whole trip, which was not asked for to begin with. He said he had a client once trying to go to LAX and they were being charged $100, like I said, but the driver was only going to get $30 from the trip. So he offered to charge $80 cash for them to do it outside the app as a win-win. Don't ever take this type of offer, kids. That was incredibly dangerous. But that's just where the landscape of Uber is here. Also, fun little tip. Never tell any drivers the place you're going to or from is your actual home. This is for everywhere, not just California. Sure, if they ask, it's normally small talk, but when it's not, you're in danger. Yikes. Now that guy won't leave your driveway. And the police say they can't do anything because he hasn't actually committed a crime yet. Just lie and say it's a friend's place or something. It's not worth the gamble. And lying to strangers is fun. That was a free survival hint from your friendly neighborhood YouTuber. Put that one in the back of your pockets. Speaking of LAX, because I brought it up earlier, that place is actual hell on earth. If someone gets sent there after death, I would consider it a viable punishment for being a bad person. But innocent people are forced to be subjected to it every single day. And it's inhumane. You have every single asshole with a plane ticket in the entire city and beyond enter through the same stupid entrance, forced to drive through the same loop bumper to bumper until they get to their specific gate. No branching paths, no attempts to categorize the types of arrivals, just a single slaughterhouse line like cattle. But in normal slaughterhouse lines, the cattle don't hate each other. I was talking about bad merging before. It is legitimately survival of the fittest in the LAX horseshoe. Absolutely no one will let you merge lanes ever unless you threaten to fist fight them right there on the concrete. One time I sat with my blinker on in traffic that was not moving for 15 minutes straight, and a dude still refused to let me start merging once cars started inching forward. I had to sit there making direct eye contact with him until he was uncomfortable enough to let me get in front of him. It is personal. I am not the same person when I'm in the LAX horseshoe. None of us are. Some dudes in the 1960s decided they wanted everyone that ever planned to visit LA to suffer instantly when they got here. And they simply got away with it. I've spent so much time talking about traffic and the airport. I haven't even talked about living in LA. Well, that part sucks too. Everything is so absurdly expensive here, it's almost comedic. Almost. Maybe raise the prices of food like $10 more and I'll start to chuckle. No, a burrito's like $40. I haven't even had a food out here that's blown my mind. Sure, it's not bad, but when eating out can get this expensive, I expect something more to write home about. There are some really fancy restaurants around, but I shouldn't have to spend even more money to eat a meal that makes me go, wow, I will remember this. It's become a common pastime for some people to pull up Zillow and look at all the really crazy expensive multi-million-dollar mansions, fantasizing about what they would do if they were to live in the craziest of homes. But the equivalent of that for me and my friends here is to look at normal homes that are just not in California. Oh, look at that one. 3 bed, 2 bath for like $2,500 a month. That's insane. Here, the same thing can go upwards of $7,000. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm very lucky and fortunate enough to not have to worry about finances as much. I can afford to live in a more expensive place here. It's not going to break my bank. But at the same time, I'd like to still be relatively smart with money. Sure, I tend to splurge on plushies and trinkets. Haha, James buying another Miku figure. But outside of that stuff, I'm really not spending money on anything else. I'm not into luxury cars or clothes or any of that type of culture. It's trinkets, plushes, and admittedly a little too much DoorDash. But I have a job that I can perform literally anywhere in the entire world. And I'm sitting here wasting extra costs on living in one of the most expensive cities in America. It feels bad. And I don't know if you picked up on it yet, but I don't even really like it here all that much. So, why? Why do I choose to burn extra money just to exist in LA? The single reason is All of my friends are here, and I'd happily shovel extra funds into a giant furnace to be near them because that's what makes a place feel like a true home. But all of my friends are also content creators that can work anywhere too. And if we all banded together and decided to move somewhere else, that would sure be swell. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of time, coordination, and resources to try and figure out an entirely new place to move a giant friend group of people. So we've essentially soft locked ourselves here until we can all agree it's time to get out of here. I'll give LA some credit. The main thing that makes it great is the fact that everything is always happening here. There's always some sort of fun event going on.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting Star Park. I know I bet you wondering how I became Star Park.
How did we go from levels as easy as this to clearing the hardest challenges in not just Geometry Dash, but in all of gaming? The story of the toughest levels is one of rivalry, bravery, and victory, and today we'll talk about how a couple dozen players pushed this game to its absolute limit. With how much we look up to top levels today, would you believe me if I said that they actually used to be hated and disliked into oblivion? Back in the day, players wanted to show off by collecting as many stars as possible. RobTop gave high quality levels a rating from 1 to 9 based on their difficulty, and the higher the rating, the more stars you'd get from beating it, and the farther you'd climb up the ranks. So when some crazy crackpot creator came along and built a level that really deserved a rating of, say, 30 stars, when it could only be given 9 max, you can imagine how badly people reacted to that. And that was the fate of Demon Park by M2 Cold. Why torture myself with this stupidly hard level when I can play an easier one and get the same amount of stars? Unlike the rest of the crowd, though, RobTop was very impressed by how M2 Cold pushed the limits of his game, and to honor it, he added the new demon difficulty in the next update. The amount of them you've beaten were displayed on your profile, letting you flex on your friends at school. Little did RobTop know that this tiny change would start a huge years-long journey to see just how far players can push this game. 4 other levels became demons after the update, with one leading the pack to become our first true top 1 level. But in the beginnings of this game's history, the top spot would switch hands many times. By early 2014, Element 111 RG found itself on top, making it both the hardest level in the game and the most mysterious. Just take a look. Why is it empty? Well, the truth is, we don't actually know what it looked like. Our understanding of it comes from little screenshots and recreations based off memory. The people who played it all agreed that it was the most brutal map ever created. Too brutal to have been beaten legitimately. You see, to post a level online, you must clear it yourself to verify it's actually possible. Cause, RobTop doesn't want impossible maps everywhere. But crafty creators have found ways to get around this and throw their ridiculous levels on the servers. And in the case of Element 111 RG, it had a secret way, a sneaky path only the creator knew of that allowed you to skip the hardest parts of the level and breeze your way through it. Well, a few days after RobTop raided it, the not so secret way was discovered, and its demon badge was revoked. The level was later deleted by its creator for unknown reasons and lost to time. This left Silent Club in the number 1 spot, another near impossible map. Why do I say that? Well, the second you enter it, you're greeted with this. Nobody could get past its crazy spam parts, especially on their crappy smartphones. Yeah, by this point, Geometry Dash wasn't even available on PC yet. I really have no clue why RobTop unrated Element 111 RG, but said Silent Club was just fine. Even though there wasn't a secret way, the creator couldn't have possibly beaten it without hacking or something. Because the level was so far out of everybody's reach, people began going after maps that were right below it. Just as you should be going after that juicy subscribe button and pressing it. In January of 2015, GG Boys Cataclysm was all the rage, not only because it was beautifully built, but the map was very intimidating. Look at this fast wave part at the beginning, which also changed your size and forced you into tight gaps. Not fun. Though GG Boy would later confess to hacking the level, people wondered if maybe, just maybe, it was actually possible to clear. I mean, beyond the wave part at the beginning, the level was actually somewhat manageable, especially now that the game was ported to PC, and pros started using their keyboards and mice instead of their greasy, nasty smartphones. Well, to the surprise of everyone, rising Korean star Cyclic would give it a go. He'd worked through the level, and in May of 2015, the impossible became the possible. And with the limiting belief shattered, three other players slated just a few days after. This was, hands down, the hardest level ever beaten legitimately, especially now that Silent Club was exposed for its super secret way. But these four survivors of the Cataclysm weren't satisfied yet. Cyclic had shown the world how far the game could be pushed, and players everywhere wondered just how much farther they could go. An elite team of creators began cooking up a level that would build off Cataclysm's theme, but dwarf it in difficulty. The level, Bloodbath, was said to be verified by Riot. He was one of the first to beat Cataclysm, and if he beat it, it would 100% become the #1 level in the game. Not wanting to be left behind in the race to the top, Cyclic began building his own map, Sonic Wave. Its light blue theme contrasted Bloodbath's dark red, but its difficulty far surpassed it. Sonic Wave was what you'd get if you took that fast wave section from the beginning of Cataclysm and stretched it throughout the entire level. And when Cyclic beat the map, it was unbelievable. Like, it was literally unbelievable. With the recent exposal of one of Geometry Dash's most popular players, people were getting more watchful for cheaters and hackers. Cyclic claimed to have beaten the level off camera, but you're smart. You know what has happened so far. Two other top levels are exposed for having secret ways. Would you really trust him if he said he beat this? Rob Top sure as hell didn't. He was tired of impossible levels popping up on his servers, and so, without video proof, he refused to give the level a demon rating. Because of this, Cyclic made the next most logical move. He buffed the shit out of Sonic Wave and beat it again. Yeah, don't ask me why he did this. Because if people weren't questioning his legitimacy then, they were certainly questioning it now. I guess he wanted to be 1000% sure that it was harder than Bloodbath and it would stay on the top for a while. By this point, the level was finished and Riot was making good progress on it, even though it looked really tough. Rob Top rated Sonic Wave this time around because Cyclic posted video proof of him beating it, but the community suspected that the footage was hacked. Why? Well, just look at the level. There was just no way that a human could clear something this hard. I mean, at 100% speed, does this look possible to you? After facing pressure from everyone, he'd update the level again, this time to some random junk map, a sort of middle finger to all the haters. Because of this, Rob Top then unrated the level, causing the #1 spot to be lost. Riot was still making steady progress on Bloodbath, especially thanks to a shiny new 144Hz monitor he got. Why does that matter? Well, high frame rates are useful in all video games, as they reduce input lag and make the game feel smoother. But in Geometry Dash before Update 2.2, high FPS monitors were absolutely crucial for competitive play because they literally broke the game in a good way. The ship was much easier to control, the wave was way more responsive, and timings were just so much more accurate. As a high FPS player myself, playing on low made me feel like there was an anvil weighing me down or something. There's no other way to describe it. So what do you get when you give one of the greatest players of the era a 144Hz monitor?
Hey guy, get a Little Caesars pizza deal. Two large pizzas for $1.99 each. Oh my god!
Um,
The difficulty ceiling was pushed even more, like a lot more. With 144Hz players being so rare, hardly anyone would make serious progress on the level for a while. Competitive Geometry Dash was a locked door, and the key to it was a crap ton of money for expensive equipment. Sure, you could do some pretty impressive stuff playing on 60Hz or mobile, but if you wanted to play in big leagues, you had to pay up. And that's shown by the fact that it took months for anyone else besides Riot to clear the level, and the ones who did were all playing on 144 Hz. Because Quasar was the
Ah,
first survivor of the Bloodbath, he was chosen to verify a remake of it some passionate creators were building. The level took what made Bloodbath so hard, the straight fly and the tough timings, and pushed it even farther, even extending it by an entire minute. This level, now called Bloodlust, was no small task, as you can see, but final exams were approaching for Quasar, and his playtime was hampered because of his hand pain, like bad hand pain. It would hurt after being on for just 10 minutes, so Quasar's next move wasn't a surprise to anyone. Thankfully, the player Noble Boy stepped in to carry the torch. He wasn't one of the first to be Bloodbath, clearing it 3 months after Quasar, and he wasn't that well known either, so people doubted whether he was skilled enough. I mean, would you trust him? If you wanted to pick someone to verify the hardest level in the game, who would you go with? The number one player or number nine? Taking on Bloodlust wasn't simply carrying the torch. It was more like carrying a 2001 Chevrolet Silverado
six.
1500. Would he really be able to get
Seven.
the job done? We'll find out after a quick message from today's sponsor, War Thunder. It's the biggest vehicle combat game ever created, free on PC and console. Played with 2,500 different tanks, planes, and helicopters, ranging from classic 1920s vehicles to the beasts of today. With realistic graphics and sound effects, you can immerse yourself right in the battlefield. Join the worldwide.
Yo, I
I
fell
love
fast
the game for its
into a three.
system, and War Thunder is very user friendly for new players.
Ay, 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 ay.
And if you use my link, you can get yourself a massive bonus pack.
Okay, that felt like
See you there. Now let's get out.
faster, faster. Oh, shit. Best 15.7.